welcome to the program, Andrew, and thanks so much for your time as always. So, 3 waters, no more, but it seems the only real change is that it's going from 4 regions to 10. What was your take on it?
Yeah, pretty similar, although I guess you could say they changed the name as well, so that's 2 changes. But primarily, yeah, the guts of it still seem to stay the same. And we've still got concerns around the lack of it's still going to have that same sort of structure where everything's like 2 steps removed from the people that are paying for it, and accountability back to them, and the lack of ability for people to have that accountability. And I guess we're still having the assets taken away from the councils, so thus the local communities, and that then impacts on those councils in terms of their ability to borrow and all the rest of it. So yeah, I'm not convinced that this is the way forward, and I mean we'll see more detail as it comes. But also there was one of the more concerning parts with the original bill, which we think is still there, was this the Te Mana o Te Wai statements and the impact that they may have. And it could that these entities are going to have to give effect to these statements. We don't know what these statements will be. These statements will be made up in the future, and that could add all sorts of complexity and costs, etc., which we just don't know about. So yeah, there's still a number of concerns that remain with it.
But of course they put up a rather compelling case saying that it's going to be the cost of the ratepayers, and of course as you rightly point out, the taxpayers, the same people generally speaking, and the costs for councils will be too prohibitive.
Yeah, again, and I mean this modelling was sort of rebuked early on by a number of the councils themselves question it, and I've seen independent analysis which is also question this model costs. And the gut instinct of what I know is the ratepayers are the taxpayers. We're still going to pay, not just because it's sort of centrally controlled doesn't mean the money somehow, it doesn't have to come out from the same people, the taxpayers. So the same work has to be done, and the same things have to be built up. I don't see how it makes it any better. You might save a little bit with head office amalgamation, but often, as we've seen in the health sector, that's not leading to that greater outcomes at the moment. And I also worry whether or not it might actually find rural people paying more, because if you're on a rural scheme and they're saying, at the moment, I don't pay for Fielding's water or their sewage or their stormwater, but if it's all this entity is going to spread the cost across everyone, then suddenly not only am I paying for my local scheme to deliver stock drinking water, etc., for me and keeping up the systems I've got on my farm, but I'm also having to pay for Fielding and everywhere else. So yeah, I'm not so certain that this is the way forward.
So basically you're saying it's just a way to change the name and a bit of a tweak, but really it's the same message.
Yeah, I think our sort of commentary we've put out on this, basically we've slapped a Ferrari badge on a Toyota Corolla, still the same engine under the hood, and not so sure it's going to go any faster.
So what happens now? What's the next phase? Again, is there discussion points for this?
Well, the intention is they're going to have to now reintroduce new legislation, and because the legislation they'd already put through and passed, well, that's effectively all defunct, because that was for 4 entities. Now they're going for 10 entities, so all of that has to be scrapped, new legislation written, and that'll have to go through Parliament. Their intent, they said, was to get it all through before the election, which doesn't leave a lot of time. So that's going to be a very truncated select committee process. So there might not be a lot of opportunity for people to have their say about anything here. It's possibly just going to be pushed through really fast.